We're going to kick off with a question that you'll need to answer in the next 10 seconds. So I want to give everybody just a couple more minutes here to jump on and get ready here. Again, thank you so much for jumping on. Today, we're going to be exploring the idea of recruiting and onboarding as it pertains to leveraging our culture in that way. So we're not necessarily just looking at new methodologies. We're looking at how to get back to what is at the very core and soul of your business and your company, and how to really leverage that through your pursuit of new hires. So yeah, we're just waiting just a few more minutes here for pens. And we'll get kicked off. I wanted to introduce Shannon to everybody. Shannon's a part of the Culture Good team and is a specialist in change management, which I'm real excited about for this year as we've begun to introduce the culture of good. And I'm talking to the live also, so I'll be looking back and forth. All right. We're introducing more of a robust collection of services that we provide that go beyond just what people know of culture of good, and that's the volunteerism and philanthropy, because we recognize that there's a lot of change taking place in business, and it can be tumultuous, and it can have a very positive impact on a company if there's good strategy behind that change or that transformation that's taking place. And so Shannon is a specialist on our team that really specializes in that change management. And so we've launched the 3-month engagements, and those 3-month engagements really address anything as it pertains to your people and culture strategy. Business is going through change, it's evolving, right? And we know that through the pandemic, new conversations have launched and started. And so I'm real excited to have Shannon on, because we're addressing pain points that are specific to each business that, as you know, can look quite different for all of us. And so if it pertains to recruiting or onboarding or doing greater good through engaging employees in the community, every single month, we're going to focus on a different theme, but each one of those themes are really pain points that we're addressing in those 3-month engagements. So that was a long introduction to Shannon as well, but Shannon, welcome, obviously, to this gathering, and then also to our team. So glad to have you on. I see Aaron Doolin is on as well. He's part of the Culture Good team. He really specializes, and you know, Aaron specializes in strategy, and is really focused on how to grow the business. But as you're growing the business, how are you also growing the culture with the business? And so ultimately, our work at Culture of Good is change management that leads to positive and purposeful cultural transformation. So our culture is always transforming. We just want to come in and partner with each business to say, how do we do this in a way that can really honor our values, the vision and mission of our business, and the employees that we already have. And that's really what I want to kick off this session with, specifically to the idea of recruiting and onboarding. Oh, there's Aaron.
What's happening, homie?
Good to have you on. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, man.
You know, when we talk about recruiting, we're really going to look at what makes us special, and we're going to kick things off. But one of the things that I think is really important in understanding recruiting and onboarding is the best first step to recruiting is taking care of the people you already have, right? And there's a lot of conversation around the Great Resignation. And as we know, a lot of the percentage of that are baby boomers and those that are recognizing that they can move on, maybe take some side work, retire, whatever that looks like. But also a lot of people are saying, how do I do life and work? And how do I create harmony in my life but also need to work. I need to make money, right? So there's a definite need in every one of our lives for a job. What I like to think about is outside of the box of just offering a job in our recruiting efforts, but also recognizing that what we're offering is a movement, is a community of people. And we have to start thinking of our business as greater than an organization. It's an organism. It's alive, it's breathing. We're not leading a business, we're leading people. And so the first thing I want to do is give you 10 seconds. Now, RJ's with me, we'll be partners, you be partners. And then if you don't have partners out there where you are on the World Wide Web, I want you within the next 10 seconds to write the answer to this question down. Martin, how you doing, man? Good to see you again, brother. Write this answer down on a piece of paper, and I'll give you 10 seconds to do so because I don't want you to think too much. What is the most compelling reason that you can give me right now to come work for your business? What's the most compelling reason? 10 seconds. And 3, 2, 1, done. All right. So let's get some answers out here. I think everyone can kind of share on chat. We have quite a few people who have jumped on and are still jumping on from LinkedIn. In the chat, if you would, write down your reason. I'll share the one. RJ, do you have a good reason? All right, I'll go ahead and turn this around to RJ here.
Yes, I put TCC gives back to the public every year round. We do the backpack giveaway. We are also funding like veterans groups. We do a lot of fundraisers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to share? You guys are like, oh crap, I came live and now I have to be a part of it.
I would say ours is our flexibility and the home and life balance. You can do both. You really can work anywhere. So
That's great. That's great. Same?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And we know those are things that obviously people are looking for. So what do we have here in the chat? I want to read a few of them. The talent, freedom of choice is, I mean, yeah, that's great. Diverse cultures. We have to look at the diversity of our organization and the equity, and we'll share a little bit about that today. Our people, employee owned. Yeah, that's a huge differentiator that impacts culture in a great way. Consistent encouragement in all areas of life and the ability to be authentic. Oh, Vanessa Phillips, my sister. What's up, V? That's awesome. These are great. And I would say that my goal by our next workshop, which by the way is going to be every second Wednesday of the month throughout this year, my goal is if you attend the next month, by the time this workshop today is over, that you'll have a really quick answer, a really robust way of being able to share the messaging of what makes you special, because that's what you just answered. What you just answered as the most compelling reason for someone to come work for you is the fact that this very thing, this one thing, is what makes you special. And it really shows the heartbeat of your business, right? What you care about. So essentially, we're not simply just saying, will you come work for us? We're saying, how is it that we can best work for you? Because we're not simply interviewing recruits. Recruits are interviewing us, and they're getting really good at it. And I will say that when we get into this culture conversation, we're not talking the touchy-feely, no impact areas of business. We're talking about the touchy-feely impacts every aspect of our business when we talk about our culture. So when we share what makes us special, what we're essentially sharing is our soul. We're sharing what we care most about. I think we just,
Probably me. Sorry.
I muted you. You're good. Oh, you're fine. You're totally cool. What makes us special, and also that is what reveals our heartbeat, or what I would call the soul of your business. What I wrote down is that we give people permission to care or to bring their soul to work every day. And that caring impacts the workplace and the world. So very much what RJ was talking about. RJ's been a part of TCC and the culture of good. Culture of good is where we help organizations give back and do good, but also that change management I talked about. So when RJ is talking about we go out and impact the community, he's talking more than just a once a year program. He's saying this is what we do as a business. This is what we care about. This is who we are. And this is why we're in business in the first place. And that's what we want to ensure, that whatever you wrote down on that piece of paper, if that's what really makes you special, we're going to look at that as really a gauge throughout this conversation today, that I want you to look at that phrase or that sentence that you wrote down and just use it as a way to bounce these ideas of culture and recruitment and onboarding off of that statement, because that is the statement that is really your differentiator or the difference maker when you're recruiting recruits or new hires. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to share the screen and some slides here. And we're going to look at recruit and onboard, leveraging your culture as your greatest advantage throughout our time together. If you have questions that come up or have interest in other areas of what I'm talking about, if you would just want to add that into the chat, and we'll have some Q&A towards the end, and I'll answer any questions that you have. Also, as we're going through this, if you're like, you know what, we really need work on that area, well, here we are. That's what the culture of good does. And so that 3-month partnership is really what we want to help with. All right, let's go to slide 1 here, and you guys have yours as well. So here's my hope for today. My hope is that we'll identify the most compelling reason. Hopefully we're already close to that. My hope for our time together is that we cultivate or help learn how to cultivate a recruitment culture with your current employees. I would love to be able to help design some recruitment messaging that can cut through the noise. All businesses need people right now. That's evident. And so there is a very competitive market in different industries, depending on the industry, obviously. And people are making more demands because of that. Because there is less supply and greater demand, there can be more demands within that currency. And so the currency of recruitment is really around how to do what we're talking about today, and that is crafting our cultural identity into the recruitment and the onboarding process. And lastly, my hope is that we can explore ways, obviously culture of good can help your company if that's something that could be of service to what you have going on in your business. I would say if there's any change going on in your business, we would love to have a conversation with you about that and look for ways to be of help. So here's 3 reasons why this convo matters today. Your culture is your greatest advantage. That's who you are. That's your soul. But it's also your greatest risk, because culture impacts everything. If the culture is lacking, or if the culture is okay or subpar, or it's not intentionally being built, then it becomes a risk, because potential hires. Shannon, is there a better way of saying potential hires, or is that a good way of saying it?
I mean, you can say potential hires, but I would just say something like future teammates,
Future teammates.
future contributors, because you're
Mm.
always setting the tone and holding space for the best and outcome, which is our, growth mindset that you want to see. So you're expecting that these people want to be a part of this. You're already talking to them like they are a part of your team.
And
So
they're already a future contributor.
that's right.
I love it. Wonderful. So for the sake of this workshop, when you hear future contributor, I'm talking about a potential hire. Awesome. I love it. See, I knew Shannon's like a wordsmith. She's awesome at that. I literally went on Google and tried to look up different ideas, and that's the best I've found. So
Because I'm coming from a place of love and from the heart,
yeah, you should write a blog on that. Quit calling them future hires and call them future contributors. All right, cool. It's also your greatest risk, and employee engagement begins with your first hire. So employee engagement doesn't begin after they're hired and after they're onboarded. Employee engagement and how they're engaging begins the first time they hear about the job, about the company, because immediately they're going to go on your site, the About Us page, they're going to go on Glassdoor, they're going to look at your LinkedIn page, they're going to go into somewhat of a treasure hunt. What they're looking for is, does this place of work contain the treasure that I'm hunting for? Right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And so your first high is really where engagement begins. That's going to be important throughout this conversation, because you'll see that you can leverage far more than potentially what we're currently leveraging in our business in order to really ensure that our cultural identity and our messaging and the story that we're telling all throughout every aspect of our business and how we're communicating who we are, that is a consistent message. So you don't have someone in the business that is over recruitment, and that's what they do, and there's no synergy between all the other departments in the organization. There's no synergy of messaging throughout all the aspects of how you communicate what you are as a business. And so that's why this convo matters. So a couple statistics I think are important, specifically to the idea of cultural transformation and the impact of culture of good on business, and specific to doing good. 62% of surveyed corporate human resource HR execs agreed that contributing business skills and enterprise to a nonprofit can be an effective way to improve employees' leadership and broader professional skill sets. And 71% of employees surveyed say it's imperative or very important to work where culture is supportive of giving and volunteering. And I want to say this, when we talk about culture of good giving, we're not just simply saying giving outside of the business, but also giving to one another, a culture that gives permission to care, permission to bring your soul to work every day, to say our business is special because this is at the heart of who we are and what we do. So the question is going to be is, how do we find the best talent? Well, here's the idea for today. And this is a mindset shift that will change our behavior. You don't find the best talent, they find you. Now, obviously, we play a part in how they find us. But if this is the idea, how is the best talent actually finding your business? How are they finding you? And when they find you, what do they find? So they're looking, they're searching. It's not that people don't want to work, but they want to work in a place, as you stated, that has the harmony between life and work, as Austin was sharing. Austin, your business again, independent adult daycare centers. Yeah, independent adult day centers. So those employees that you are looking to have come work for you, obviously knowing that there's that harmony and that it's not work constantly that's going to take away from life, but that they can live and work, and that can be in synergy and actually work in parallel. That's a really special thing. And that is something that talent is on a treasure hunt for. And so what does that treasure hunt completely look like? And this is where I'd need some help as well. But I wrote a few things down off of the top of my mind just in the last few months and just hearing people talk. They all start with P because I used to be a pastor. And so we typically, all of our points start with the same letter if you've ever been to church. So, but here's the treasure hunt. Positive environments. Just want to work where something's where it's positive, right? Nobody wants to work in a negative environment. Purposeful activities, whether that's internally or giving back, passionate outreach, pay and position equitably. Someone wrote down about diversity, but also diversity is wonderful, but we have to take it beyond diversity and inclusion to say, is it equitable? And also, not only are all voices being heard, but are they also being followed? Do we have leadership that's equitable? Do we have pay that's equitable? Those are part of the treasure hunt. People are looking for that. Progressive advancement. I shared in the last slide or the slide before how 90% of HR execs say if you have a program where people are giving back and utilizing their skills to help the nonprofits, there's a lot of through that that is extremely helpful. Personalized leadership. The onboarding aspect of what we're talking about today is saying that engagement begins at the first high, but as they're onboarded into the business, it's vital right from the very beginning that they have a mentor, that they have someone that's invested in that person, where it's not simply you're part of the team, but I'm your person. I'm going to personally invest and lead you in this organization. So someone who's willing to give time and talent and treasure to that person. So having that personalized leadership is really crucial. Personal creative expression. Being able to craft how people want to express themselves in their work is really important. Then I left a blank, and this is where I'd love for anyone to share. You can unmute yourself if you'd like, or it doesn't have to start with P. Is there anything that you would say that is could be included into that list that we could add and share with the world? You could throw it in chat or unmute yourself. And
One thing that people are really craving right now is connection.
Connection. Yep.
So that they're a part of a team, you know.
Starts with P. Love it.
Because a lot of people are, feeling isolated and contributing individually, but working together as a team, having that good balance is really amazing.
Really important. Anyone else? Did you guys think of anything? No? RJ? All right. They're on a treasure hunt. So the question is, once they find you, is this what they find? So here's what I want to say. If these areas of the treasure hunt, this is what we want to be compelled as leaders to begin to look at our organization and ask, where do we see these showing up in the business? Do we see equitable pay and position? Do we see passionate outreach? Do we see those areas? Because that's what we know people are looking for. Are they just looking for it or demanding it? Some of these are more demands than they are just, okay, this would be a really amazing thing. As you just heard, 71% of employees stated that they want a culture that has that passionate outreach and giving back. That's pretty much a demand at this point. Equitable pay is important. Advancement, opportunity for development. Obviously, positive environment isn't just a plus. We shouldn't say, well, it'd be a plus if I could find a job that was positive. No, like it should be positive where we work. And so are the leaders, are the middle managers within our organization, are they being held accountable to building this type of culture within our organization? Are our team leads, are they intentional about this? Why are we talking about this? Because I could come on here and say, okay, 75% of recruiters love LinkedIn and are finding LinkedIn to be a great way to recruit. So just put a page on LinkedIn and start putting out messaging. The problem is I was driving down the highway the other day and I saw a billboard for a casino in Anderson, Indiana. And I've been to this casino in Anderson, Indiana, and I've seen the people walking around smoking cigs with oxygen tanks behind them, and they look miserable. And like, I don't mind going. I won $200 on the horses the first time I went. I loved it. I had a great time. However, when you look at the billboard and then you walk into a casino, there's a little bit of a different reality there. On the billboard, it's 21-year-old, 23-year-olds and money's flying everywhere and there's a free Mustang on it. And then you get in there and it's not anything like that at all, right? So this is why this is important, because it does not matter what's on your billboard, what's on LinkedIn, what's on Indeed, what do you have on Glassdoor. All of that is your billboard. This is when you walk into the casino. When you walk into your culture, what do people find? That's an important piece to understand. What I want to share about today, in lieu of what I just said, is your billboard, your story, the narrative of your business. What is the story being told, and how do we tell really compelling stories? Because if we have compelling reasons for people to come work for us, we would also, professional development's great. People driven's great. I saw that on the chat. Thank you for jumping on, Martin. I'm sure we'll connect again. It's good to see you again, brother. These things are really important to the business, but once we know the compelling reason, how good is our business at telling that story? The story we tell should align with the culture we live. So if we're not living it, don't share it. Don't say you have an organization that cares about work-life harmony, and then they get into the business and realize that's not the case. I used to tell people at TCC in the retail, they would hire people, and then a month in, people would complain that it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. And I said, listen, retail's tough. Sometimes you're asked to work longer hours than you expected. Sometimes you're asked to work holidays when you didn't want to, or sometimes you're asked to do things on your job description that, tell people that. Tell them right up front. Tell them exactly what your culture is. And if you can't share what your culture is because you're embarrassed by the culture, or you don't feel like it leads to a positive experience for that person, then there's internal work that needs to take place within the organization. That is what we do. And I'm sure if you have people within your team, HR, whatever, that are able to work toward this type of cultural transformation, then absolutely begin to work to ensure that when talent finds you, which it should not be hard to find you, but once they do, they find the right thing. Now, let's see. Really cool stuff on here, guys. All right, so we do not have Wi-Fi. Talk to each other. Storytelling should be a key communication method throughout your recruiting and onboarding efforts. I would say it is the key communication method. Storytelling is how we communicate. The mediums for that we'll get into here in just a moment. But I wanted to give you a few notes that you wouldn't necessarily have to write down. And I'll send this deck out to everyone afterwards as well, so you have this to follow through. Here's some things that I think are really important as we lead into how to tell great stories. And that's one of the things that we're going to learn today, is how to tell a really good story. What are the components of that? And then you can begin to build your story of your culture and utilize that for your recruiting. All right. So be clear about the 1 or 2 qualities that your organization is proud of its culture. So you wrote down one of them. Get an idea and ask other leaders, other employees, those that have worked for you for a while, employees that are new hires within the first 6 months. Why did they come work for you? What was the thing? Was it just they needed a paycheck? Or was there something more than that? We want to talk about the more than that. Pay is important. It needs to be equitable. Pay is more important, I would say, than everything else but culture, other than it being equitable. And the reason I say that is because some people will take less pay for better culture. Is the only reason I'm saying that. But you can't say, well, we pay less because our culture is good, right? We can't pay people $4 less on the hour and expect for any of our recruiting efforts to be worth anything. That's just the reality of it. And I know that's challenging. So if you're on here and you work warehouse and you do a lot of temp work, I understand that. And we can work with you in the instance that you have to help develop a culture that's far more challenging. But in a general sense, we want to identify what are those qualities that people came to work for us and are still working for us. People that are in our business for 5 or more years. Why are they still around? You haven't been able to get rid of them yet. Why can't you get rid of them? Ask them, find out. This is your messaging. Build that in to what you're sharing with people. Be inspirational by speaking from your heart to the heart. Make sure that your messaging is inspirational, that it touches the heart of those that would find you. Align your message to the heartbeat of your business or your business's why you're in business, the impact that you're having on adults that come to your facility and your services at TCC and all the other businesses that are represented here. And those of you that'll be watching the recording of this, be inspirational, find your heartbeat and share that. Tell stories that tie the contribution of current stakeholders to your company's why. So find those stories that are amplifying the treasure hunt. When employees, your current employees, when you hear a story about a current employee being impacted by your culture, grab that story, share the story, get it on video, get a picture, share it on social media. What are you doing? You're sharing the heartbeat of your business, and it comes back to current contribution. It's what was shared. We're looking for future contributors. So what do? Right? We share the current contributors. We share those stories. Those are really important. We're seeing companies do that more and more. And there's a reason why they're doing that, because what it does is it rehumanizes our business and allows those that are looking at our company to know, again, that we're more than an organization, we're an organism. We are people. This is how we care. These are our experiences. And we want to share those. Encourage your leadership team, as well as employees at all levels, to listen, reveal potential areas where additional storytelling and communication is needed to connect to likely hires. So reach out to people within the organization. If you're in charge of recruiting or a part of a team of recruiting, ask around, where are we missing the mark? Is there an area of opportunity? Is there a blind spot that we're not aware of? Those are areas of business and leadership that we can really pull on. So encourage that. And that's going to help create a recruitment culture within the business, as well as partner and work with existing functions and teams in the organization that communicate and tell stories. So if you already have storytellers in your business, use them in the recruiting for sure, but also use them internally. Ensure that they're capturing stories around positive environment, future contribution, sharing stories around all of those aspects, equitable pay and position. Find that within the business. We want to discover that, and we want to be able to share that. So marketing, communications, internal and also external. They not only have expertise, but they also have existing channels that may enable effective sharing. I also love the idea of incentivizing current employees to get messaging out. I know a lot of companies right now are not only incentivizing people to come work for them by giving them a sign-on bonus, but also what about referrals? You know, refer. Look at the employees that you have and those employees that really love your business that are sharing these stories. Encourage that, incentivize referral culture. That'll build a recruitment culture. Leverage and align messaging. This is one of the keys that I want to share before we move into how to tell really compelling stories. Leverage and align messaging across all internal and external platforms that communicate and tell stories or tell your story. For example, your website. So if I go on to About Us, do I find anything about what you wrote down in the first 10 seconds of this workshop? Is that a main focus of who we are on the website? Is that a main focus of what we're sharing as a filter through our social media? What about your intranet, your internal employee communications? Are you sharing the vision, the values, the mission, why the company matters, your why consistently? I like to say, and I did a video last year where I had a bucket and had holes in it and I was pouring water in and it just kept pouring out. And it was a visualization of how vision and mission, culture, communications, you're constantly pouring, but it's always flowing. It leaks because we get caught up in the whirlwind of everything else going on and we miss what really makes where we work special. Now, this isn't tooting our horn or trying to say, don't forget why we're special, why we're special, why we're special. What we're doing in this is trying to share our heartbeat so that if someone else has that same heartbeat rhythm, there's going to be some relevance and a connection and an internal understanding that this is a place where I fit. Now, a lot of people would say, don't say culture fit, say culture add. I like that idea, but I would say if you have a really kick-ass culture, finding someone that would fit in that is great. You know, what we're not saying is a culture fit is don't hire people that are just like you. Don't say everybody on my team is just like me. And if we're going to hire someone, we don't want anybody that's different than us. No, as a matter of fact, if you have equitable position and pay, you should have a really robust, diverse place of work. And in doing so, a culture fit would also add to that diversity and add to diverse thought, and allow your culture then to continue to grow and be more robust and actually far more effective in terms of how we're recruiting. So this is why what I shared is important, because if we change our mindset from we have to find the best talent to the best talent is going to find us, we have to make sure, again, that when they find us, that the story that we're telling is compelling enough that they actually want to be a character in it, right? Because that's what we're building. We're building, or rather we're creating and writing a narrative that we're asking them to join into that story and be a character, potentially a key character. When we talk about key stakeholders, those that are decision makers, those that lead teams within the organization, those are really key characters. But honestly, if you read any book, any character that's written, the author had intention about that character, or they wouldn't have added them in the first place. If you're going to add someone into the story of your business, we want to make sure that we know what their contribution, as Shannon shared, their future contribution, as well as what part do they play in the story. They are the character. Now, I'm not going to have you raise your hands, but I'm sure you've heard of the hero's journey, right? The hero of the story. A lot of times you see the hero in a lot of movies. Star Wars has that. We see it in Allison, or we see it in, let's see, what's a really good example of this? Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, that's a good one. So you'll see these steps that I'm about to share as part of what's called the story brand. And I've taken the 7 steps of story brand, and if you, I'm not a part of story brand. I'm not a story brand consultant, but I love the 7 areas of the story that need to be developed in order to share a really compelling story. And this really helps the brand of your business as well as can help recruiting. So I took the story brand 7-step journey of a character, and I am leveraging that in this conversation specific to how we're creating a story around what we're sharing around all of our channels of communication and also through those that work for us. I want to call this empathetic recruiting. Empathetic recruiting is recruiting that recruits understanding that we're not asking people to come work for us. We're asking if we can also work for them. The character of the story is no longer, and the hero is not your company. All right. The hero and the character is your potential hire or your future contributor. So every story starts with a character. You'll see this. Now, this is going to be, you're going to look at every movie you've ever watched, and you're going to see that this is what movie writers, script writers will follow this process. Great storytellers know there's a character. So who is the future contributor? What do they want? What is their end goal? Essentially, what's in it for them? Why are they coming into this story in the first place? What are they looking for? We shared the treasure hunt. That shares some ideas on what we're talking about. So we potentially have a contributor, future contributor, that's looking for, let's select one of the ones. They're looking for passionate outreach. So the story that we're sharing in this particular instance is a character that's looking for passionate outreach. They want to be a part of a culture that gives back, that cares, and gives them permission to do so. They have a problem. So what's their obstacle? Why are they still searching for a new place to work? Well, they probably didn't find passionate outreach in their last place of work, or the culture maybe was toxic, or they had toxic leadership, whatever it is, or potentially they're just moving on. They're looking for another place to work. They're looking for new opportunity. Whatever it is, they have a problem. The story gets compelling right now because you have a character that has a problem and they meet a guide. It can be a caterpillar smoking a hookah. In Alice in Wonderland, I forget the caterpillar's name. I'm not sure. If somebody knows Alice in Wonderland, they could throw that in there. But they meet a guide. You know, this harkens back to my old Atari games, right? Where you have a character, and you get to the end of that level and you defeat the big bad person at the end. And then someone comes onto the screen and a little bubble pops up and they give you some ideas on what to do next, right? This is the guide. There's someone throughout the process that's going to show up, and your company is the guide. So how does your business help them overcome that obstacle? This is part of your recruiting and onboarding. You're sharing how your business becomes the guide to help them overcome that obstacle. So if it's passionate outreach, this is where we need to listen to those that are looking to work for our company, but also where we're sharing this as part of our communications. We're feeding what is positive outreach for your business. What is personalized leadership? What does that look like? What does it look like to have to be a part of a team in this business? Maybe their problem was they never felt a part of what they were doing before. People feel that all the time. They just show up to work. They're just they're a number as a part of everything else, but they never feel like they belong. Well, you're the guide. How are you going to lead them in that direction? So you give them a plan. And this can be shared on your social media. This can be shared on your website and should be on the website. This should be on your communications. What 3 steps are you asking that future contributor to take with you? Not for you, not to say, all right, fill out this sheet, do this, that, but what are you asking them to do? Find the 3 steps that you're asking that potential hire to take with you. And that is, hey, look at this area of our business. We have this blog about passionate outreach. Awesome, right? Share some steps with them. Give them some ways to connect deeper. This is where they're getting deeper into not just you being a guide and saying, oh, this is what we offer, but you're actually giving them the steps to experience that further. Hey, come in and shadow me for a day. If you want to see our culture, before you get hired, come in and walk around with me. And I won't tell anybody that you're a potential hire. And you get to come in and just check it out without anybody even knowing. Would you be willing to do that with your current culture in your business? If you are, great. If not, again, that's okay. This workshop's not to make anybody feel bad. If anything, this is saying, all right, we have some work to do, because that could be a potential step that would really bring in a key talent that would differentiate your business, because who's doing that? Who's willing to be that vulnerable? This is empathetic recruiting, so we're talking outside of the box. And then the 5th step in this 7-part framework is that you're calling them to a specific action. At some point within this aspect, what is the call to action? What are you asking them to do with the opportunity that you're presenting with them? Make the ask. Yeah, if you don't ask, right? But the key is most recruiters are putting out a message like this: we're hiring, fill out this. So they go from, we are the character in the story, we're the main character, we're hiring. The whole messaging starts with we're instead of you. We're hiring, come work for us, or fill out a resume, or come to this job fair, whatever it is. This is the call to action after these. Again, you're writing a narrative, you're writing a story. So as any good story goes, you can't start with the end, and right? So we can't skip these steps. So what's the call to action? After giving them a plan and after seeing them begin to take some steps in the direction of knowing your culture further and deeper, that's when there's a call to action. All right. It's easy to just throw out tons of calls of action, and we do that and we continue to do that, and that's okay, but it's not great. We'll start, because we have to get the word out, right? All right, stay on Indeed. I'm not saying get off of Indeed or get off of all those other platforms. I'm simply saying supplement that with this. Start to begin to form the story and the narrative, and then make the call to action when the time is right. This is the challenge of stepping over pennies to get a dollar, right? We're actually saying, like, we're going to invest in this storytelling and building this out so that when the right talent that we're really looking for finds us, they know the story, they know our culture. I mean, ultimately, when we talk about recruiting and onboarding, it's really, they function collectively together. The idea is, though, that you don't want to start sharing your culture at the onboarding process. Engagement starts with the first hi. right? So the next step then after the call to action is we want that call to action to end in success. So this is part of your story. What is the inspirational vision of benefits to joining your team? What is that inspirational benefit? That's part of the story. This is one of the great ways of doing this is sharing the successes internally that you currently have. What I mentioned, the vision, inspirational videos of employees that have been a part of the organization, that right there, you have to paint a picture of what the end of success looks like. And then as part of your messaging, what failure are you helping them avoid? Remind them what opportunity could be missed if they choose not to work for you. We'd love for you to be a part of this team. We know that you care most about positive, passionate outreach. You've taken some steps with us. You've seen our culture. I presenting the opportunity to them to come work for you, and the success of what you, and painting the picture, inspirational picture of what success is going to be and what you hope for them. Leaders, I've been saying lately, need to stop saying this is what I want from you and this is what I want for you. If you're recruiting, is asking people for stuff and not saying this is what is for you, then we're missing, there's a gap and we're telling the wrong story. So we're ending in a success, but we're also suggesting, hey, this is an opportunity that I know because I'm a part of this culture that you're really going to miss being a part of some really passionate people if you don't take this job. And we want you, if you don't take this job, to find a place that has that passionate outreach. So it's not in a sense of saying, hey, tough luck, but also saying, don't forget, regardless of where you go from here on out, that when you want to find a place or work for a place that has work-life harmony, passionate outreach, personalized leadership, whatever that is, that's our culture. Don't miss this opportunity, right? So you lay that out there and give them that chance. I want to pause for a moment and look at chat for a second. What I hope for you. Yeah. That is a very powerful statement. One of the things that we do in coaching and we encourage in my leadership coaching, Shannon wrote the idea that what I hope for you is a really powerful statement. One of the things that we do in leadership coaching is have leaders look at each other and finish a statement. What I see in you is blank, and what I hope for you is blank. And we do that with people that meet or have never met before, that don't even know about the person, and they stand face to face and they say, this is what I see in you. Because we know that when we first meet someone, we pick up on stuff. There's cues that we look for. They're engaging, they're kind, you can pick up on stuff. So this is what I see in you, this is what I hope for you. And sharing that toward the end. And sharing that with the avoiding of failure, this is what I hope, as well as saying, I hope for you to find this passionate outreach. Oh goodness, we got 5 minutes. All right. So I just want to leave this as the last slide. I have given a lot today, I know. Here's what Shannon always tells me, Ryan, would you stop in these workshops giving all of our secrets away and everything? Because we should be getting paid for this. Like, I know, Shannon, but kidding. But there's a lot more to this, and there's a lot of work to be done, and we know that. So if you want to explore how our change management can help lead to any cultural transformation that you're saying, okay, we need a lot of work in this area, reach out to me. I was going to put our Culture of Good site, but it was down yesterday, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. So I put my site on there, and I just redid my site. So I'd love for you to jump on there and check it out. We do keynote speaking. We have the 3-month engagements with upfront cost. So it's $3,000 a month for the 3-month engagements. And in those 3 months, we take you through a process of change management that identifies what change has happened, is happening, or you want to happen within your business, what transformation is taking place, and how do you not only just manage it, but change management that leads to cultural transformation is really change leadership. So we engage your leaders, we co-create strategy and process with you. We ensure that each leader that is a key person within the change that helps to lead the change is engaged with that change, knows what's in it for them, and also knows and has the skills to be able to help lead that change, as well as create sustainability tactics throughout the 3 months so that after the 3 months is over, your leaders are equipped, engaged, and ready to lead that change transformation beyond our work of the 3 months. Those 3 months are modules that specifically hit a pain point that you're facing currently right now. So what is it that we need help with right now? And then we assess and identify, is that really the problem, or is there something deeper going on that we could suggest if we do this work with you, we can resolve these other areas of your business. And so we would love for you to reach out to us and let us know how we can be of help to any of you. So I need to eat some snacks and get some drinks, but before I do, I want to ask if anyone has any questions, if they would like to share that on the chat, as well as you can unmute and say hi or whatever. All right. Is anybody still on here? Just a few people. I think everybody jumped off. Maybe, I'm not sure. All right. So we recorded it. So I will reach out. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate it. Hopefully this allows us to think outside of the box in terms of telling compelling stories. I will be sending everyone a book, but I will need your physical address. So reach out to me on my email, and you'll find that this is a story that is very similar to the process of what we wanted to share with you today. And in your recruitment and onboarding efforts, as we can be of help, we thank you for reaching out to us on that. So I will send a book out to everyone. And yeah, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. Thank you all for jumping on. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I keep saying bye. That's just how it works. Bye. All right.
Good job, everybody.
Have a good
Thanks so
rest of the
much,
week.
Ryan.
Thank you all. Later.
Bye.
Bye.